So we were talking about co-citation and bibliographic indexes in the last class, and we learned that these are pretty useful indexes when you look at the similarities between nodes, and nodes could be articles in this network, or it could be author, and so on. And any of the synonymous network, not only the citation network, these indexes can be used. And it's a symmetrical matrix, and it's not a binary matrix. It is also having some information stored in its diagonal. So it's very convenient mathematically. Now, since we talk about these kind of matrices, there's another framework which has similar derivation, and those are known as hypergraphs. Okay, so this is to take care of some community structure in a network. So let's say that we have let's say 1, 2, and 3 nodes. Okay, they are all a part of one group by definition. Okay, so instead of putting an edge between them, I just group them together. Okay, so the edge is actually spread out over 3 nodes. And let's say there was yet another node 4, and it was grouped with 1, and there was yet another node 5, and this is grouping with 3. Okay. So this is a simplified version of the community structure that we have is called hypergraph. Now, this can be represented as another graph, which is 2-layer graph. So what we have in this 2-layer is the member and the group. I'll give you some example where do we use these kind of graphs. So let's say we have 3 groups, right? This is, let's say, A group, B group, and C group. We have A, B, C here in the 1 layer, and the second layer will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nodes, which are 3, right? And now I'm going to make edges between these 2 layers, not within layer. Okay, so whether 1 or 2 belongs to group A, whether 1 belongs to group A, yes, 1 is in group A, right? Then I put an edge between the node in the 1 layer and to the second layer. And likewise, node 2 belongs to group A. Node 3 also belongs to group A, right? So this is the way we make the edges between 2 layers, not within layer. Now B is having 1 and 4, right? So 1 and 4. C is having 3 and 5. Okay, so this is called a bipartite graph. This is another representation of the hypergraph. This is very inconvenient form. How are we going to make a matrix of this? Now this can be represented as a matrix now. So how can we represent this as a matrix? The rule is following. I will call it as a incident matrix because we need to find out incident of nodes onto the other node, right? So there will be an edge between 2 nodes. If node in layer 2 is having is belonging to group A, right? So let's call the members as J and group as I. And then my matrix, I'll call this matrix as B. It's called incident matrix. Okay, so And there's a reason we call it as incident matrix, and we later on we'll see why in what is that class? It will be in the flux balance analysis later on, where I might elaborate this a little further. But nevertheless, Bij is telling that J belongs to I. J is my member and I is my group, right? If this is 1, then J belongs to I, right? Otherwise, 0 otherwise. Now here I will put 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is my A, B, C. Now the immediate thing that you notice here is this matrix is not a square matrix. Forget about being symmetrical. This is not even square matrix, right? It's a very different kind of matrix. Now let's fill this up. Whether, so this is your J, right? This is your I. Whether 1 belongs to node 1, the member 1, okay, node ID 1, member ID 1 belongs to group A, yes. 2 belongs to group A, yes. 3 belongs to group A, yes. 4, no. 5, no. 1 belongs to group B, yes. And 2 belongs to group B, no. 2 belongs to group, 2 belongs to group B, no. 3 belongs to group B, no. 4 belongs to, yes. 5, no, right? And then 1 belongs to C, no. 2 belongs to C, no. 3 belongs to C, yes. 4, no. 5, 1, right? So the diagonal is also not 0, and the matrix is not a square matrix. So very, very inconvenient matrix to work upon. So the trick is that we somehow convert this matrix into, again, somewhat similar to what we learned earlier, somewhat this form, right? Symmetrical form, so that we work on the symmetrical matrix rather than this non-square, non-symmetrical, asymmetrical matrix. So one of the way we convert this into a symmetrical matrix is we have to get a projection. Okay, we need to project these two layers separately. So we will have two different networks, one for the group, other is for the members. So for the members, the rule is following. This is called projection matrix, Pij. Okay, this value is 1. Now ij is the nodes of this layer. Okay, don't look at this one, these things now. Okay, now ij are the nodes of this layer. We are not talking about projection of upper layer. We are only talking about the lower layer now. 1 if I and j belongs to same group. Zero otherwise. Now you can get similar representation here where I and j are the groups, and if they have common members, they will be connected, right? So if they have common members, if two groups like A and B are having common members, then they will say 1, otherwise it's 0. Now it turns out that we can actually derive this P matrix from B matrix. Okay, very similar to what we did earlier for the co-citation network and the bibliography. Okay, now let us see how can we do that. So what do you think, if I want to find out that whether 1 and 2 belongs to same group, what values I will look here? One and 2 belongs to same group, let's say A in this case. I'm going to look at, first of all, I'm going to look at these two columns, right? Let's say this is my I column and J column. And then I look for K other neighbors, K other groups, sorry. K groups, right? And let us say if I look at only for the one node, which is A, then this has to be 1, right? It is 1, and this has to be 1. So which means the product of these two values should be 1. In other ways, in terms of I and J, how can I write it? So I will write B if I belongs to group K, right? This is the convention. Remember this thing. I belongs to group K times J belongs to same group K, right? If this is 1, then I have an edge. Then I know that I and J belongs to same group. Then in Pij, I can have the value 1. Okay. Now, in fact, Pij values are not 1. You will see it now in a moment. It's not 1 actually. It's actually a scalar value because we are going to sum up, right? How many times? So this will be weighted. So I'm writing it. It's not incorrect to say 1 because any weighted matrix can be, you understand what is weighted matrix. It's not binary 0 and 1. Instead of 1, you can have different grade of weights. Let's say that one connection in a particular network is more important. Let's say you have some network here. You say that this network, I put more weightage here, okay, W1 as compared to other ones, W2 and W3. So which can be anything. In case of protein-protein interaction network, this could be the affinity of the two proteins. In case of social network, this could be the strength of the friendship, and so on. Okay. So if you have a binary matrix, can be converted into weighted matrix. Instead of writing 1, you put the weight there. So the matrix look like if there is a 1 here somewhere and so on, you instead write W1 there, the weight of that edge rather than the binary notation. So you will see that this is actually weighted. You will see. So now, if I want to calculate, if I want to get this weight, how will I get it? This has to be the sum, right? So let's say if node 1 and 2 is having only one group in common, then it's just weight 1. But now you see that 1 and 2 can have multiple groups also in some cases, isn't it? So there would be some cases, it's not here, we don't have it here. Let's say there was another edge here from A to, sorry, 2 to B. Okay, there's another edge here, 2 to B. Assume that. So which means that 2 to B, which means this becomes 1 here in this matrix. Okay, so then the weight will be more because the node 1 and 2 shares two groups now, A and B as well. So I should give more weightage here because there's a greater strength here between node 1 and 2. They not only belongs to group A, they also belongs to group B together. So which means that it's better, I get more information if I sum over K, right? Very similar to what we did in the bibliographic network. Right now, if you do so, you can also keep the value 1 only. But if you put the weight, which means that how many groups the two nodes are sharing, you are having additional information with you in the network, in the matrix. And if you have this information, you can always revert back to binary notation if you want. If you don't care how many groups a node belongs to, then you can simply revert back to binary notation. So there is no downside, but there is an upside. Now, what is that upside? These weights are telling you some additional information. For example, what are the example of these bipartite graphs? Anybody? Can anybody give me example of these graphs? Then we can talk about the advantage of having weight, advantage of summing this. Okay, we'll discuss in a moment. So let's see what will be the matrix here now. So I can rewrite this as BIK now, not KI transpose, right? And BK Kj. So this is going to be, in terms of matrix, this is going to be incident matrix, projection matrix, sorry, which is given by P is equal to B transpose B. This is going to be symmetrical again and very similar to what we did earlier in the previous class. This matrix will be symmetrical. You can derive it easily, number one. And this is going to be a weighted matrix, as we discussed in a moment before, right? And what else? What will be the diagonal elements of this matrix? Diagonal elements is going to be K, let me write here, which is PII, sum over K, and BKI times BKI, which is square and in the end nothing but K and BKI. What is BKI? How many
the number
groups
of
a node
groups
belongs to, right? Simple. And that information is also important. So diagonal information is also conveying something. Now, let us look at the examples. So what are the examples? Anybody? In social network, what is the example? You have family as a group, right? And members as members, right? Family members. Any other example?
Mutual friends.
Yeah, mutual friends is very synonymous to what I
Okay,
wrote here.
okay.
Let's say a movie network, okay, actors network. What will be the group? Actors are your nodes. So let's say these are members here. These are actors. What will be the group of actors? Is the cast, right? Of a movie is a group, right? In the citation network, you have authors, let's say, as members, and author list of a paper as a group, right? How many of them are co-writing papers and so on. And likewise, one of the very good example in biology is the genes. And the group is transcription factors. Okay, so basically those who are not familiar with the transcription factors and gene network, this is called gene regulatory network. So you at least know that there is a gene on DNA, right? Let's say these are different locations of different genes, okay? And there was a gene located here, A, B, C. And you can have a protein which can work as a transcription factor, right? Let's say this binds to the promoter of this gene. Okay, this is your protein, this is your TF. A, B, C are your genes, and this is your TF, let's say 1. And likewise, you have another TF here, TF2. Now, if these two transcription factors are important for the transcription means this will make RNA and then this will be translated later on, right? So for the transcription of a gene, you need these two TFs, TF1 and TF2, okay? And likewise, maybe TF1 is also needed for this gene, C gene's transcription. So this relationship can be captured using bipeptide graph where you have TF on first layer, TF1, TF2, right? and second layer is your genes. Genes A, B, and C. So transcription factor 1 is actually regulating these two genes, and 2 is only regulating this gene. And let's say 2 was also regulating B, so 2 was also regulating B. Right? So this is very important now. If the two genes are actually having same transcription factor bound, it might mean that they are actually part of same pathway. They respond to similar signal, right? So you gain a lot about the biological information. There seems to be part of the same regulatory network. And if the two transcription factors, okay, are actually, or one transcription factor or two transcription factors, let's say, is regulating same gene, it means that they are also physically interacting, right? Let's say these two transcription factors are binding here. How would they bind here? They need to come together, right? So they are forming a same complex here, right? So it means that they are part of same complex or same regulon or whatever you call it. So you learn about the biological regulation, and then you also get to know how many targets TF1 is having and how many transcription factors gene A is having in the diagram. Okay, so that's where we use this framework of projections in biology. Okay, so now, okay, I talk about one layer, right? I only talk about the network of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, but we didn't make that network. So let us make it here. So what do you think? How would the network look like? I write the node 1 here. 1 will be connected to 2. Yes, right? In the projection network. And 3 will be connected to 1, of course, because they belong to same group. And 2 and 3 will also be connected. Now 3 is connected to C and 5 is connected to C, which means that 5 is connected here. And then 4 and 1 is having a common group. So 4 is here. So that will be this network, isn't it? What about this network? Anybody? What will be the network? A will be connected to B. Do they have sharing partner? Same partner? Same member? Yes, right? 1. So A is connected to B. Okay. C will be connected to B. No, there is no common partner between B and C. You can also see here B and C are isolated. These two are isolated, right? But A and C are having common partners, which is 3. Right? This is common to A and C. So this will be your network for this layer, this projection. Okay, so that's what we are doing. Now, how would the P matrix change for this layer? In terms of notations. So now we are going to calculate Pij for the other layer. Now here I and J both are groups, right? If they have a common member, then there is a link, isn't it? And that will be a weighted link. How many common members it is having, that will be the number there. This can be given by sum over K. What is K here? K are the members. Earlier the K were groups, isn't it? Here in this notation, the K was group here. You see here, it was group here. Isn't it group? Right now I'm saying that K is a member here. This is member. And now N would be different here. For members, N will be different. And for groups, N will be different. So in these two equations, this equation here, the number of total N here will be different. N1, let's say, and this will be different here. Because now I'm looking at members. Earlier I was looking at groups. Okay, now I need to look at if I and J belongs to the same member. Okay, they have same member. Member is written here, right? If I has same member times J is having same member, right? Isn't it? Now, you would have seen this earlier. This is very similar to co-citation network now. BIK is fine, but I can write this as BJK transpose. So your P is nothing but B transpose, which is symmetrical again, weighted network, symmetrical, diagonal PII would be what? Is going to be sum over K BIK, which is telling you how many members node I is having, right? How many members node I is having. So let's say family size, number of authors in a paper, the size of a movie casting, right? So that's what it's very similar to co-citation network. Okay, so that's another thing which was similar to co-citation and bibliography. Let's move on. And before we move on, I'll ask you something. When you do a Google search, what does it do? Anyone, what do you think? What will it do? Google search engine, what does it do? I'm not asking about the algorithm, but roughly speaking, what will it do?
It tries to match your query to the information it has stored about each website, and the matches are dependent on how many words actually match between your query and what they have indexed.
Okay, anybody else?
So basically, it shows us the members of the same group, whatever group we are searching, and it shows us that
No, not
based on the
really.
rankings.
I'm not asking about how does it search. I mean, it has to, is it just shooting onto, it has to start somewhere from some website, right? I mean,
Are you talking about search engine optimization? Like,
not optimization. I'm just asking how a search engine will work. What does it has to do at the very fundamental level? You have a network of websites, right? You don't have a list of websites. You have a net. Of course, once you have a network, you also have a list. But it will not check the websites one by one. It's not making a list. It has a network and it has to traverse that network, isn't it? It has to crawl the network. And you would have heard that, there is a frequency of Google crawling the World Wide Web. So this has to crawl the network. This has to crawl the World Wide Web network, isn't it? Now, I'm telling that when it does it, it only searches around 30% of the whole World Wide Web. And the question is why? So, which means that the results that you get when you do a Google search, the result that you get is not out of the whole World Wide Web, that somehow it has ranked considering the whole World Wide Web. There is a ranking going on that we will talk later on. It's called PageRank. That's a different thing. That is the ranking of websites, and accordingly it will throw the results to you which is most relevant. So that's a different thing. Ranking is a different thing, but every other day it has to crawl the network so that it keeps up the database. Now when it crawls, you assume that when you're searching the internet, it will search the whole internet, whole World Wide Web, but that's not true. It is able to search, despite being the most efficient search engine, it is able to search only 30% or maybe 35%, not more than that. What's happening? Think. What could stop it? What is the limiting factor here?
So some search results are based on our history and the location where we are searching from.
Location, how does the location matter?
So there is a setting we have, like it matters. Like in US, results would be different. In India, results would be different.
Oh, that's okay. That's prioritization or ranking. Okay, relevant to geographical location. We're not talking about the ranking. I'm saying that no matter where you are in the world, the result which is thrown to you is part of the 30% of the World Wide Web, not the 100% of the world. Okay, so there's a large amount of websites out there which are not reachable, where the network is not able to go there. What's going on? See, you need to understand one thing. So this is one hint. The World Wide Web is a directed network, right? So there are edges going on. And it's not like, let's say I have a website A and you have another website B. I link to your website. It's not guaranteed that it is maybe very unlikely that you will also link back to my website. For what? I might be linking because let's say your website is more informative or more important. Okay. And you find that my website is not important. Why will you link back to my website? More often, it will not be bi-directional links. It's unidirectional. But then what's limiting? I can follow a path, right? Then I can search the web. But what is limiting us?
So is it because only roughly 30% of uh, you can get to 30% of all nodes from one particular node?
Yes. Well, if I keep on waiting for you guys, then I think I'll get an answer because you will do the same thing. We'll do a Google search. Well, see, the first thing is that there could be various answers. Some people last time mentioned that censorship somewhere, maybe in China or some of those Korea and all those countries. There might be some censorship. Uh, okay, so that's one way that there's certain websites which are censored in certain locations. So that's country-based censorship. Let's say you're living in a liberal world and you should be able to access the network. And then you will also have certain websites which are protected, password protected, and so on. Okay, that's a different thing. You may also have, why do we always think that the World Wide Web is one giant component? So I tell you, how does the World Wide Web look like? I mean, this is not the way our network looks like, but this is a particular way we draw. This is a particular, what do we call, bow tie structure. It's notional only, okay? It doesn't mean that the network looks like this. Now, there would be some components, let's say this is the giant component, okay? This whole thing is the giant component. These are not nodes. Nodes, this is the large scale structure, which means nodes are here, which are connected with each other. Okay, so I'm not showing the links right now. But there would be few things which are sparsely connected. Let's say there was a tube going on from this part to this part. Set of websites which are linking in a long route. This could be pretty much possible. You can also have islands, right? Islands of websites which are not connected to this giant component. One thing, okay. It would still be possible that 80 to 90% are in the giant component, okay. But one thing that there are websites which are part of the which are not part of the giant component. Now Google has to start a search engine, a robot, okay, which will go to some website one here, okay. Follow this. follow some path, right? Okay, now when we come here in the central part, which is a circle here, okay, this part is known as in component. And this is, let's say, out component. The in between one, this component is the one which is the densest part of the network. Okay, now this is a directed network, right? So our crawler is going like this. Okay, now it found certain routes and it went this way. Let's say it reached this way. Okay, but then since the links are following one direction, okay, we are not able to search this part here. This part is, we are not able to search this part right now because it is following one-sided links only, right? And the reason we are not able to follow this is because we do not have cycles, right? If there was a case that this node is actually connected to this node and then there is a, you can revisit certain nodes, and from here you can actually go to another node here. Let's say there was a backlink here this way, and then you can go this way. So now you are able to visit this node also, and likewise you are able to visit other nodes, right? So which means that if you have more cycles in the network, not necessarily cycle of the length 3, there are 3 nodes only, not only triangles, okay, it can be of any length. And it turns out that when you come to the densest part, you have a lot of cycles here. You go here, and then you come back here, go here, go here, go here, come back here. Okay, these are not undirected network that you make a link and then you can go either direction. Okay, so there were a lot of cycle in this part because of the densely connected component. Okay, this part is densely connected. This is, and this is sparse. These two are sparse. This is sparse. Okay, this is very sparse. This is very sparse. So these parts you won't be able to search effectively. Okay, but you will be able to search most of the websites inside here in this part. Okay, so this is this part is actually your 30%, around 30%, and because of which Google is only able to search this part because it finds routes. Okay, it can reroute itself to reach to more nodes. It is not possible here. It will find one-way path here because of sparse network. Sparse. Okay, so this is one of the reasons. The cycles. If you have more and more cycles, the network will be traversable. Okay, you can reach to different parts of the network. If you do not have cycles in a directed network, you will find it difficult to traverse a network. So which means that we need to look at the cyclic properties of the networks, right? So we call it as cyclic network or acyclic network. So cyclic or acyclic network. This. Now, right now we are talking in terms of directed network. Okay, the same cycle would be known as loop when you have undirected network. Okay. All right. So let's take the example of directed network. Let's draw something. So the most popular example of directed network is the citation network, right? Let's say that there was a paper published long ago, A paper, right? And then there was another node B. So this is your time. So I'm drawing it in a particular way. You might say that I can draw it in some other way. Why do I why do we care about the when the paper was published, the time, right? That's fine. That's a fair criticism, and we'll see that in fact that doesn't matter. Oops. So the notes are, the edges are not correct in this one. So paper B came later in time, so it is citing A. This fellow published and citing A. Then there was another paper which cited B and C. Let's say D. And then there was a eNote, the latest paper, which is citing B and B. Okay. So let's make the adjacency matrix of this and see how does it look like. Okay, by the way, the network that I have drawn on the board, is this cyclic or acyclic? Anyone?
It's acyclic, sir.
Okay, how did you say that?
Sir, because it is directed only towards A and nothing is going
Yeah.
other way around.
What is the reason that it's not cyclic? Why is it? So this is strictly acyclic network, a very good example of acyclic network, and there has to be reason that this is acyclic. Why? See, if I put, if I make this edge, I reverse this edge, I make it like this. Okay, from B to E, it becomes, there is a cycle, right? From E to D, D to B, and B to E. But that's wrong. Why? I can't make such an edge. Never. Anybody, why? Remember, this is a citation network. You're citing papers. Look at the time.
An old paper can't.
Yeah. An old paper can't cite the new paper, right? Something which is published in the time, in the earlier times, how can that paper cite the new paper which is published yesterday? This might be possible in Wikipedia perhaps, because you can edit the older pages also, right? So let's not talk about the mess of Wikipedia, but the citation, article citation network is strictly acyclic. Now we will see something interesting. Okay, now let us fill the gap, fill the matrix J to I, right? Does A cites to A? No. Self-citation of the same paper to same paper is impossible, right? Nobody cites the same paper in the same paper. Okay, does B cites A? Yes. Does C cites A? Yes. D cites A? No. E cites A? No. Does A cites B? No, never. This is not possible. A cannot cite B, right? Does B cites B? No. Does C cites B? C cites B? No. Does D cites B? Yes. E cites B? Yes. Does A cites C? No. It cannot be in inverse direction. Does B cites C? No. Does C cites C? Never. Does D cites B? C? Sorry. Yes. E cites C? No. Does A cites D? Never. Does B sides D? Never. Does C sides D? Never. Does D sides D? Never. Does E sides D? Yes. Okay. Does A sides E? No. 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 Right? What do you see here? Do you find something interesting?
Lower diagonal, that is like 0. Lower diagonal
Yes,
triangle, that
true. Okay, so it's a triangular matrix, right? What else? She says that the everything below diagonal is 0. It's a triangular matrix. What else? Well, the diagonal is also 0, right? So this is strictly triangular matrix. A triangular matrix is called as strictly triangular when the diagonal is also 0. Okay. Now, some of you, is there anything wrong here? If I change the order of nodes now, I draw the network in a peculiar manner, right, with respect to time. But there's no reason to draw it in that way. I can draw it in whatever way I want. If I put E, if I put E right in the beginning, what will happen? I change the order of the nodes now. You can swap it on paper. Swap some nodes. What will happen? Will it still be triangular? Anybody? If you change the order of the nodes now, change the layout. Don't follow the time. See, it should be, I mean, I think it's common sense that, if you don't put in this order, you can still get the one values in the lower triangle also, right? This will switch. This will be shuffled. If you shuffle this network, these one values will be shuffled around, right? So this network will not remain triangular. Forget about being strict. Of course, the diagonal remains 0, right? But this triangular nature will not remain same. Okay, this is happening because I followed an order here with respect to time, with respect to directionality of the node, right? However, is this clear, right? You can do that on paper. So this is happening because we follow the directionality in one direction. We have an order of nodes here. If you don't put it in that order, these ones will come anywhere basically. It shouldn't be very difficult to realize it. So, however, we cannot say that for a acyclic network, this is acyclic network, that the adjacency matrix of an acyclic network will be strictly triangular. But we can say this thing. We can say it will be strictly triangular in at least one of its layouts, right? Okay, so that's one kind of theorem. Okay, we can say that the adjacency matrix of an acyclic network is strictly triangular in at least one of its layout. Okay, so that's true. What else is true? The diagonal is 0, right? Which will be true for whatever layout you are having. Anything else? See, a matrix is triangular, strictly triangular. What else do you know about a matrix which is strictly triangular? What is the diagonal of a matrix which is triangular? You have a triangular matrix. The diagonal of a triangular matrix is what? Don't remember? The diagonal of a triangular matrix is the eigenvalues, right? The diagonal of a triangular matrix represents the eigenvalues of that matrix. So if those are 0 because it is strictly triangular, then we can say that all eigenvalues are 0. How to prove this? It's a strictly triangular matrix, so this is self-evident. You see this is all 0, right? So it is strictly triangular, and for a triangular matrix, the diagonal represents the eigenvalues, and if those are 0, I can say that for an acyclic network, these 3 properties are true, right? All eigenvalues are 0. Now, what do you think? Will the inverse be true? Let's say I put this question in this way. A network with all eigenvalues 0 will be acyclic. Will this also be true? See, this is true, right? Given a acyclic network, all eigenvalues are 0. Can the inverse be also true? That the network with all eigenvalues 0, let's say you found a network, okay, and you do not know what this network is all about, but you learn that all the eigenvalues are 0. Can you say that it is acyclic? Or in other words, let me change this question. Let us say that if I have a cyclic network, it will have at least one eigenvalue which is non-zero, isn't it? That's why it is cyclic. For a cyclic network, a cyclic network will have at least one eigenvalues which is non-zero. If all are 0, it is acyclic, right? So can we prove this? So this can be proven, and we will see the next class. Do we have class tomorrow? No.
Yes.
So Jan 26 is open for classes, right?
No, sir.
I don't know if it is open or not, because we got in the last grade finalization meeting, there was a strict instruction from the director and the dean acad that public holidays you do not take any classes. So since you are at home, it doesn't mean that we start taking classes on public holidays. So I will check it. If it is off, then we don't take class. I'll put a WhatsApp message. Okay, so we'll see tomorrow it is not straightforward. Proving the first thing that a cyclic network will have all the eigenvalues 0 is straightforward. You have seen it here. However, other way around will take time. We need to first find out the paths. We need to understand how to identify paths here, then count the paths, and then count the cycles. Okay, and those cycles, counting those cycles in the form of eigenvalues will give you the answer. Okay, so we need to find how can we count the number of loops in a network in the matrix notation. Okay, and then come down to the eigenvalues. And if some of those eigenvalues are 0, then it is acyclic. If it is not, then it is cyclic. So that will require some derivation, and we will see tomorrow or a day after tomorrow. Right. So that was all for the day. If you have a question, we can address that now.
Sir, we got the mid-sem schedule and IDC 407 is not mentioned there.
But that's the first mid-sem, right?
Yes.
So I'm not taking first mid-sem, isn't it? I think I'm taking only one mid-sem.
Sir, it was supposed to be 30 marks, so I thought, like you said, there were two options, A and B, and either we'll have a 30 marks mid-sem or a 20 marks. So I was not sure.
No, I think I will go back and check my slides. I think I said that we will only have one mid-sem. Okay, so I'm not taking mid-sem as of now. I will confirm on WhatsApp. So I'm writing down two things. One, you said that whether we have class tomorrow, and then the mid-sem. I don't think I said I will take first mid-sem. Did I say, anybody remember?
So you gave us two options, and we were supposed to decide that.
No, we have decided actually. We don't move on in any of the course without deciding. So I will confirm it by checking my first video. I would have mentioned it there, and I think I'm not going to take first mid-sem. But if it changes, then I'll let you know. Most likely it will not be. Okay, any other question? So whatever we are learning for last few classes, this matrix representation of networks and derivations and all will be present there in the Newman's book. Okay, and even the notations are also same. I'm just following that book. So if you have that book, you will find it rather straightforward to follow these lectures. And if you do not have, I can give you the link. Have you obtained that? Have you obtained the Newman's book?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Those who couldn't get it, you can get it from others. Okay. Okay, so that was all for the day. I'll stop here.